Okay, question 5 says, consider the linear function f of x equals negative 4x plus 7. And part A says, find expressions for each of the following quantities. Simplify your, sorry, that's a little bit of a typo there. Simplify each of your answers completely. All right, so this first part is f of negative 5. So for that, we're inputting negative 5 for x. Okay, so we're going to get that f of negative 5 will be, well, negative 5 will be multiplied by minus 4, and then we're adding 7 to that result. So this is minus 4 times minus 5 is a positive 20. Then we're going to add 7 to give us 27 for the answer. All right, part 2, well, here we're inputting just a for x. So in other words, all we're doing is replacing x with this letter a. So that's just going to give us minus 4a plus 7. For 3, we're going to input 2x for x. Okay, so in other words, I'm going to apply this rule now not just to x, but to 2x. So I'm going to multiply 2x by negative 4 and then add 7 to the result. And we can simplify this a little bit. Minus 4 times 2x is minus 8x, and then we're adding 7, and so that will be our answer right there. For 4 here, we have f of x plus h. So now our input is x plus h. So we're going to apply the rule for the function f, which says multiply whatever you're inputting into the function by negative 4 and then add 7 to the result. So we'll get this, and here I will go ahead and open up parentheses. So this is going to give us minus 4x minus 4h and then plus 7. Okay. And then lastly, 4, we have f of x plus h minus f of x, and then that's all divided by h. Okay, so let's just take this one step at a time. This expression right here, f of x plus h, is what we just computed in 4. Okay, so I'm going to write that out as minus 4 times x plus h plus 7. And now what we're going to do is subtract from that f of x. And f of x is minus 4x plus 7. And we want to be careful here. Since we're subtracting f of x, we're subtracting this entire expression. So I'm going to put parentheses there to emphasize the fact that this negative is applying not just to the negative 4x here, it's applying to the 7 as well. It's distributing. Okay, and then I have a division by h there. All right, so now let's go ahead and clean this up. So for this first part, we'll just open these parentheses by distributing the negative 4, and then here we'll distribute this negative, which will just change the sign on each of those terms. So that's going to give us negative 4x minus 4h plus 7, and then a minus 4x, that's a plus 4x, and then minus 7 there, and then divide all of that by h. All right, and now notice that minus 4x plus 4x will give us 0x, so those will just drop out. And then we also have that the 7s, right, are going to drop out because I have plus 7 and then I'm subtracting 7 here. So when all is said and done, the thing I'm left over with in the numerator is minus 4h. And then we're dividing that by h. And so I can then divide h by itself. That's going to just give us a 1. So this whole expression simplifies down to -4. Okay, great. So now let's go ahead and move on to part B. It says compute the inverse of this function. Okay, so this is what we were doing back in section 13.3. We talked about inverse functions. So for the function f, the relationship between inputs and outputs is y equals minus 4x plus 7. So for the inverse, we're going to swap inputs and outputs. So in other words, just swap x and y. And then we're going to go ahead and solve this equation for y. So I'll start by subtracting 7 from both sides. So that's going to give us an x minus 7 on the left and a minus 4y on the right. Let's go ahead and divide both sides by -4 to isolate y. And so that's going to give us on the left, since I am dividing by a negative, what I'm going to do is just put the negative in front of the fraction. So this will be minus, and then we have this fraction x minus 7 all over 4. And then on the right, I'm just going to get y. So for our final answer, I'm going to write this in function notation. This is f inverse of x is equal to, and then we have minus the fraction x minus 7 all divided by 4. So this would be the answer. Okay. And then lastly, for C, it says solve the equation f of x equals f of 2. Okay, so on the left side of the equation, we have f of x, which is -4x plus 7. So I'm going to replace f of x with -4x plus 7. And then on the right, I have f of 2, which I can go ahead and compute by just plugging 2 in for x into the rule here for f. So that's going to be -4 times 2 plus 7. And this is -4 times 2, so that's -8. And then I'm adding 7, so that's going to give us -1. So for this equation down here, I'm going to replace f of 2 on the right side with -1. All right, and now let's go ahead and solve this equation. I'll go ahead and subtract 7 from both sides. And so that's going to give us -4x on the left and -8 on the right. And then to finish, we'll just divide both sides by -4. And we get that x is equal to +2. Okay, and notice, looking back at the original equation, f of x is equal to f of 2. If I set x to 2, I'm just going to get the statement that f of 2 is equal to itself, which is certainly true. So this all does make sense. All right, that'll do it for this problem. I'll see you in the next one.